My friends, how are you? It is always fantastic to see you for yet another video. And in Donald Trump's America, my friends, there is no shortage of people that voted to harm other people, I guess not realizing that they were the people that they were voting to harm, and having a shocked look on their face when it happens to them. I don't know how many stories so far we have had of people doing the same thing over and over. We had the one girl that worked for like the U.S. Forest Service, that heard Donald Trump say that IVF was going to be free, and then so she voted for him because she wanted to start a family, which is a noble cause, sure. But then when Donald Trump got into office, not only did she not get access to her IVF, Donald Trump and Elon Musk decided that she was waste, fraud, and abuse, and they fired her ass from her job, and she really regretted her vote, I would imagine. I don't really know. Then you got these guys out here that their wives end up getting deported after they listen to Donald Trump talk about how he was just going to deport everyone, and then they want to sit down with Donald Trump and have a conversation. Please, sir, can we just have a talk about this? I'm sure if you hear my point of view, you will let my wife come back to America. And Donald Trump never responds to that. Interesting enough, right? And you continue to see this over and over, and it's not always funny. It's kind of terrible, even though people did vote for this thing to happen. But it is sad sometimes. But the point I'm trying to make is we are seeing that once again. So we've got another heartwarming story of fuck around and find out, my friends. And this one isn't as bad as some of the other ones, but it's still interesting. It's still fucking interesting. There was a Hispanic couple in California that was on their way to a dentist appointment, my friends, and they decided they wanted to go stop by and check out some local campgrounds. I guess they're huge fans of camping, or is that how you'd say that? I don't know if you can be a huge fan of camping. I don't really know, but they enjoy camping. It's one of their hobbies. So on their way to or from the dentist office, they decided to swing into a campground and sort of check out the scenery and see if they wanted to go camping there or not. When this couple was pulled over by Border Patrol, I believe it was, and asked about their immigration status, and the cops, the police dog was able to find, I guess, a small amount of marijuana in the car, so they got their whole damn car searched, and they were stopped for being suspicious, basically. And in Donald Trump's America, I mean, being suspicious is being just a little bit too fucking brown now, isn't it? And that's unfortunate. I didn't vote for that shit. I knew it was coming. And so this couple, turns out that they have only recently gotten involved in the political ring, and they started voting in 2020. In 2020, they voted for Donald Trump, and in 2024, they also voted for Donald Trump. I guess because the black lady had a weird laugh. I don't really know. It's baffling to me, my friends. It's just one of the most shocking things. Look, Kamala may have had some flaws. When I look back on things, I don't know that I necessarily stand with her point of view that Israel has a right to defend itself. That was always the thing she says. Looks to me, as an outsider looking in, looks like Israel, in my point of view, is a bunch of warmongering lunatics, and that's the way I fucking see it. So I feel like maybe she was a little bit weak on that point. But by almost every measurable point you looked at, when you looked at these two candidates, you've got a babbling fucking buffoon, Donald Trump, that is saying absolutely nothing except hateful shit and about how he's going to harm different people all over America. And then you've got Kamala Harris, who comes to us with things like down payment assistance for new home buyers. She is on the Democratic side, so she probably leaned towards some sort of universal health care, you know, more of the Democratic policies. And how the fuck we look at that, and anybody looks at that and goes, Donald Trump is clearly the best choice, is one of the most shocking things that's ever happened to this fucking country. So anyways, this couple, the gentleman in the couple was asked about if he regretted his vote for Donald Trump. And he did say that he does. He said, yes, I do regret my vote for Donald Trump. And I mean, I guess that's all fine and good. It's too fucking late. I mean, we already have Donald Trump as the president. So people regretting their votes doesn't really do a whole lot for me these days, especially when you consider that the Republican Party is straight up right in front of our faces trying to rig the midterm elections. And I say that because they are trying to gerrymander the shit out of the state of Texas so that Donald Trump gets extra seats and doesn't get his ass impeached again for all the bullshit that he keeps doing in America. That's one of the reasons. One of the reasons is just to keep him in power. There's a lot of reasons why these fucking dorks are choosing to not play by the rules. So we have passed a point in this country where regretting your vote is a good enough response to what the fuck ever is going on. Because it used to be, you could regret your vote, you could say, fuck, I did the wrong thing, and then you could basically strip that president of any power they had when the midterms came up by voting for the opposition party and having them as a roadblock to stand in their way. It used to be that regretting your vote in this country held a little bit of fucking weight now, didn't it, my friends? That's not the case anymore with them attempting to rig the midterm elections. It's just pretty hollow. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't help at all to say I regret it anymore. It's done. It's almost like there were millions of Americans saying, what the fuck are you doing? You're trying to elect a fascist to run the United States of America. And then they still vote for the fascist, and the fascist does some fascist shit, and they go, why is this happening? Well, dummy, had you fucking paid attention to what everyone else was saying instead of believing Donald Trump and the Fox News right-wing propaganda machine, if you had paid a little bit of fucking attention to what was going on, you might have made a better decision. But we have got an absolute stupidity epidemic in this fucking country, my friends. And a lot of people don't understand politics. It's over our heads for the most part. A lot of it is very confusing to the average everyday American. We don't have time. We're always going to work. We always got shit to do. And trying to keep up with what's actually going on in politics is a difficult thing to do. But when you hear Donald Trump say that he is going to do all of these awful things, you listen to the words he says, and you think that, well, yeah, but he means other people. He means he's going to do those horrible things to other people, and I'm okay with that. Regretting your vote isn't fucking enough at this point. It's not enough. It doesn't fucking do anything. I do not understand how we ended up in a spot in America where we think that it is acceptable to cause harm to other people as long as it's not us, and do it through our votes. And I'm probably about to say some shit that's way out of line for me to say, but I'm going to say it anyways, and repercussions be damned, I guess, my friends. But I have a hard time figuring out how the fuck in this country, look, I understand why a bunch of white men vote for Donald Trump. Like, the only real thing that stands out to white men in America is Donald Trump just said they can be openly racist and sexist and any number of things, and they fucking love that shit, all right? Now, I'm not excusing their behavior. I'm saying I understand the point of view that they're coming from. They're still wrong, though. They're still absolutely fucking wrong. But I cannot, in my fucking... what I'm trying to say is I cannot figure out how somebody that is Mexican votes for Donald Trump. I cannot figure out how a black person votes for Donald Trump. And I cannot figure out how a woman votes for Donald Trump. And don't worry, I'm going to back that up with reasons for saying it, all right? When it comes to like the Hispanic population, you heard that motherfucker say that he was just going to round everyone up. And you still what is going on? I don't understand it. You were like, oh, he's talking about those other Mexicans over there, and that's fine with me. And then when you find out that you are the other Mexicans, you stand around fucking shocked going, I can't believe this is happening to me. That is absolutely shocking. I do not know how he picked up a single Hispanic vote in this fucking country. And then when you move on to black voters that voted for Donald Trump, do you hear what he's doing? Hear what he's saying? If you are now employed in this country as a black person, Donald Trump and his posse of dumb fucks think that you're a DEI hire just for having a job. If you went out there and you got yourself a job, pulled yourself up by your bootstraps, so to speak, and you moved up that job, then you are now a DEI hire. They do not believe you're actually qualified to have that fucking job. They don't think you're smart enough to have that job. And after years and years and years of this Republican Party accusing black people of being lazy, of being like a drain on the system, of taking up all the benefits, which we know isn't true. It is rural white Americans that use these government services at a much higher rate. But after all that, all those things of telling a certain community how horrible and lazy they are, they go out and get jobs, and then you're vilified for getting a fucking job too. What part of that sold anybody on voting for Donald Trump? I don't fucking get it, my friends. And it's not shocking to see these bad things happen to the very fucking people we were trying to protect. We were telling you the entire time, if Donald Trump wins, he is coming for you. And I'm voting against Donald Trump to fucking protect you. And then you go and you cancel out my vote by voting for Donald Trump that said he's going to harm you. That doesn't make a bit of fucking sense, my friends. And then when it comes to women, how in the fuck did Donald Trump get a single woman's vote in this fucking country? And I know there's a lot of really deep-seated stuff to go along with that, right? Where women are treated like property in certain parts of this country, and it's in their best interest to fall in line and do what they're told. And that's just an unfortunate reality of some demographics in America. And by that I mean rural white people, in case anybody was confused about the demographic I was talking about. But outside of that, look, Donald Trump has said that you do not have a right to your own health care. Now, we don't know the reason why a woman may seek out an abortion. And quite frankly, it's none of our fucking business. We could go on and on for it's okay for this, it's okay for that, it's okay after this certain time frame, it's not okay at all. But what we need to fucking understand is it's a medical procedure performed by a doctor where the decision is made between a doctor and a patient to do the thing or not do the thing, right? And it's none of our fucking business what decisions are made, because the right-wing media has spun this into some like demonic thing where Democrats just love killing babies. We can't just let a woman decide on her own medical health decisions in this fucking country. And on top of that, Donald Trump and the Republican Party are openly saying now that you don't have a right to vote. I think it was Pete Hegseth. I don't really know. There's some young girl, I think she's running in Arizona, if I'm not mistaken. I should have looked that up. She's the daughter of a politician, and she's running for office. But she's on record saying that women don't deserve the right to vote. Women should not have a right to vote in this country. They are openly saying that you are lesser. You do not have the same rights as men in this country. You just fucking don't. And there are women that went and voted for that, and we knew all that before Donald Trump was elected. We knew all that. So look, like I said, I may have been out of line. Maybe it's not my place to speak on these certain demographics that I am clearly not a member of. But I heard that Donald Trump was going to harm these people. That's what I heard. And you know what? Honestly, if I'm a selfish person, if I'm a hateful, spiteful person, all of those policies would benefit me. I am a white man in America. All right? You got to hear me out on this part before you get fucking mad. But I made the conscious decision, my friends, that if a person's different from me, they're still as much of a person as me. And it would be a shitty thing with my vote to go out and vote to harm people and make life harder for them. And that's one of the driving reasons why I decided that Donald Trump was bullshit and I wasn't going to fucking vote for him. I could not in clear conscience make the vote to harm other people. But my God, we see it over and fucking over in this country. Over and over. where, I mean, my God, I gave the few examples at the beginning of the video. You got small business owners that voted for Trump because they think he's good for the economy, right? Oh, Donald Trump is good for the economy. They get fucking hammered, absolutely obliterated by Donald Trump's tariffs. And then they go, wait, no, I didn't want this. My God, you're giving me a headache. I'm like arguing with an imaginary person right now, and I should stop doing shit like that. But Donald Trump, if there's anything in the world he's been consistent on, it is tariffs. He has been talking about tariffs for like 40 fucking years, about how countries have treated America so poorly, and he would get even, and he would do all this bullshit with tariffs. There's no excuse for that one. If you're a small business owner that's going out of business due to tariffs and you voted for Donald Trump, like that isn't like, there's no excuse for that one. He's been very, very consistent on tariffs for fucking years at this point. But I don't know. I mean, these videos, these kind of stories are good for me. They're a fucking goldmine. Hey, another dipshit Trump supporter is shocked by the consequences of their own fucking actions. But at the same time, sure, I'll take the fucking views. Thank you for being a fucking idiot that got me more views on my channel. But we have got to knock this shit off, my friends. There used to be a time where it was just like a policy difference. Maybe maybe I'm wrong about that, because as far as I can remember in my lifetime, the Republicans have always been fucking lunatics. But let's play out my fantasy here, I guess, where it used to be like maybe one side just wanted a higher tax rate to fund schools, and this side wanted a lower tax rate to fund billionaires, I guess. I don't know. And that was sort of the argument. Now the fucking argument is one side believes that everybody in America is equally a person, deserves equal opportunity in this country, should not be discriminated against for their race or their religion or their sexuality or any number of things. And another side is specifically designing this country to be only beneficial to the white man in America. That's what the other side is doing. And they want you to fall in line and do what the fuck you're told and accept less for yourself, and basically accept that they think you are a lower class citizen than everyone else, and yeah, they want you to accept that about yourself. And people still go out and they vote against themselves, and they stand there looking fucking dumbfounded every goddamn time, my friends. It is just a shocking fucking thing. So yet another case of a couple Trump voters that heard Donald Trump say how much he was going to terrorize the brown community of America, and now regret their vote as they were on the receiving end of the bullshit Donald Trump said that he was going to do. My friends, this is a fucking nightmare. Like, it's Groundhog Day. I just keep waking up to the same shit over and over. Anyways, I gotta get back to work. Love you guys. Bye now.